Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at an excellent magic item out of Unearthed Arcana, the Wand of Force. This is an item that I remember reading back in 1985 and getting very excited about, and was quickly incorporated into our game. But you've got to be careful with this item. It's a very powerful item, and it can kind of bite you in ways you might not think. So today, Wand of Force from Unearthed Arcana. Also, subscribers, yeah, why not? Come on. There's got to be people out there that you know that may or may not want to join the channel. Have them join. You know me. I always want more people to join the channel. Want to continue to grow the channel and make it better. I'm also open to any suggestions for videos or presentation if I should do something a little different. My tech is limited, so I'm not going to be able to do the cool inlays and stuff that other more sophisticated channels do. I'm going to be more of this in this format. But if you have any ideas of how I should present a book or something, let me know. I'm always interested in constructive criticism, so please let me know. Also, Patreon. I'm thinking up a reward for Patreon. I might start doing short little videos, kind of like the YouTube shorts and even the little TikToks that I can put straight on Patreon. These won't be anything of any great moment, but there will be little interesting videos that I'm going to drop from time and again, and it's going to be kind of a Patreon exclusive thing. This is by way of kind of jogging people who might have been on the fence. People who follow my channel, you're not really going to be missing out a ton. It's going to be a very similar vein to what I do here, except they're going to be shorter. So that's really it. So if you haven't looked at the Patreon, please do. And more to follow. I'll let everybody know when I put up my first video on Patreon, etc. Back to today's topic, the Wand of Force from Unearthed Arcana. All right, the Wand of Force out of Unearthed Arcana. Why choose this one? Well, it's one of my favorite magic items out of Unearthed Arcana. There it is, sitting on page 96. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Wand of Force literally brings a lot to the table. This was the first time I remember seeing this was in Unearthed Arcana, although I think it might have been in a module prior to this. But I remember this form really just kind of blowing my doors off. So we're going to take a look at it. And it starts out, the Wand of Force is rumored to be the concept of a wand that has many functions. This one has been standardized, so to speak, as a tri-function device, which requires considerable knowledge to operate. So the first power is the Wand of Force enables the wielder to cause a shaft of nearly invisible blue-white energy to spring from its tip. This shaft of energy extends 4 feet and is equal to a +5 bastard sword with respect to hit and damage. This usage expends 1 charge per turn. So really good power there. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to kind of read this over it, and then I'm going to unpack a lot of the stuff. Second, the Wand of Force can be used to be employed to create a wall of force, duplicating the 5th level magic user spell of the same name, as if cast by a 10th level magic user. I'm glad they put that in there, because usually wands operate at 6th level. This function expends 1 charge per wall created, and a single usage per round is possible. And the third, Wand of Force can be employed to create a nearly invisible plane of energy which performs as if it had been created by the casting of a Bigby's Forceful Hand spell. The wand user must be a magic user in order to activate this function, and regardless of your level, one of the various Bigby's Hand/Fist spells must be recorded for study, not necessarily for casting, in the spellbook of the wand wielder. Use of this function expends half a charge per round. And it goes on to say, fighters of all types are able to use the first and second functions of the wand. The device can be recharged by a magic user of 16th or higher level. And in addition, it can draw sufficient energy to regain a single charge by being touched any of the following: a manifestation of the Bigby's Hand/Fist spells, a manifestation of the Mordecaian spells, or a manifestation of the Wall of Force. Touching any of these things with the wand causes the effect of a disintegrate spell, destroying the spell manifestation instantly and enabling the wand to absorb power equivalent to a single charge. Okay, pretty straightforward, but there's a lot to actually unpack. So we're going to go back up to the beginning, and we're going to talk about the wand itself. The first power, it brings up the energy equal to a +5 bastard sword with respect to hit and damage. The question immediately becomes, do I have to be proficient with a bastard sword in order to use this power without a penalty? And that's a darned important question, considering the significant penalty a magic user takes for being non-proficient with a weapon. So we kind of scratched our heads over this, and it even goes on to say that fighters can use the first and second functions, and yet it doesn't say that other classes can or can't. So my assumption is, of course, that other classes can use the first and second powers. So that becomes the question, do you have to be proficient in a bastard sword with it? And my answer to that was no, you don't have to be proficient, and here's why. First off, magic. Best argument in any D&D fight you're ever going to have is it's because it's magic. But the second is it's equal to a 5th level +5 bastard sword, but it wouldn't have the weight or the heft or the balance of a bastard sword. Therefore, it wouldn't perform like a bastard sword. It's just equal to one. So that I took that to mean that it does the same effects as a +5 bastard sword, but not that you had to be proficient with the bastard sword. So that was the decision that I made as the DM at the table, and that my group has adopted. So, and by the way, just so you don't think I cram my decisions down people's throats, we discuss all of these, and we basically vote on it. And individual DMs, for whatever reason, have the right to say, no, we can do it that way, but I'm going to do it this way in my game. But that rarely happens at our table, simply because we discuss the things, and then we come to some kind of agreement with it. Second power of the Wand of Force is to create a wall of force at duplicating a 5th level spell at 10th level manifestation. That means a wall of force is up for 1 turn plus 1 round per level. So this would be 1 turn plus 10 rounds, or 2 turns. So 20 minutes that you could create a wall of force, and it expends 1 charge. Okay, that's pretty good. You can do 1 per round. That's even better. Even best is that the power down here to recharge the wand is to absorb a wall of force. There's absolutely nothing to stop the wand wielder from putting up a wall of force, and any time before the wall expires at the 20-minute mark, simply touch the wand to it and reabsorb it and keep the charge. This became a power that got kind of abused quickly at our table. We were constantly sealing off areas with walls of force that we knew would be there, and we knew we could renew. One good trick that one of my players used was there was a magic user on the other side, so he was pretty confident that they'd have the ability to disintegrate 1 wall of force, so he put up 2. They dropped the first one to disintegrate and ran flat into the second one. So kind of interesting about the wall of force. So that's a power that can be abused, and you've got to be careful with that. And then the third power, which is usable only by a magic user, is the Bigby's Forceful Hand. This is the hand that will push people away. I did a video on Bigby's hands spells a few months ago, so take a look at that for what the various spells do. So that's pretty good. It just puts up an intervening hand that will actually push an enemy away from the wand wielder. But the wand wielder must be a magic user and have to have the Bigby's hand, any of the Bigby's hand or fist spells, in your spell book. It says expressly, not necessarily for recorded for study, not necessarily for casting. You don't have to have it in memory. In the spell book of the wand wielder, we had it come up once that a wand wielder got a scroll that had it on there. My intention as the DM was to have him write it into his spell book, and he said, hey, I'm just going to carry the scroll around. I don't have to take time and the expense to transcribe this to my spell book. And yay, look at me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be able to use this. And I said, no, it says it's got to be in your spell book. The other thing you've got to be careful about is it's unlikely, but you could actually, through circumstance, especially if multiple DMs are over a character, you could have a relatively low-level character get their hands on a wand of force and a scroll with a Bigby's hand spell on it. And you could find yourself facing off against a 7th or 8th level MU who can suddenly use all the functions of this wand. So the power of the fist, or the inner Bigby's Forceful Hand, uses a charge of half a charge per round. The half a charge per round, we round up. If it goes for 3 rounds, that would be 1 and 2 would be 1 charge, 3 would be half a charge, but we round up to 4. You cannot carry half charges on the wand. We round up because you've used a partial charge. So just how we handle it at our table. So just a few different things about an excellent magic item. I recommend exercising caution with this magic item. The Wand of Force can be abused. I came up with an idea as a player in a DM's game, and the DM was good. He was fun, but he was not a detail guy. So I had the idea, because I was in with a really strong barbarian and a very powerful ranger, and I was playing a thief. And I came up with the idea of, well, let's just seal the bad guys in with us. No help can come. So every room we went into, the two big tanks went in and took stuff on. I would seal the doorway with the wand of force. We'd do our stuff. Nothing could come in behind us. Nothing corporeal or unable to teleport anyway. We clean up the room. I drop the wall of force and possibly renew it if we had looting to do, thus losing no charges. We'd take whatever loot we had. I'd drop the wall of force and we'd leave. So that became something that we did as a matter of course throughout this dungeon. And the dungeon master never really did anything to cause us grief for that. I, as the dungeon master, would absolutely put a stop to that by having creatures hidden inside, or maybe something non-corporeal like a ghost or a specter or something, able to come through the wall of force and get at the party and kind of negate that way too strong advantage of being able to seal the room each time. Or better still, seal the room and then have the room fill up with gas. So now they've got to quickly get to the exit, drop the wall of force, and get out. So there are a couple of ways to work around that. Another way, as I made it clear that if this was a continuing thing, I would go ahead and I would put limits on that power of the wand. Sometimes the DM just has to do that. The DM I was in didn't. Interesting thing, it states here that the wall of force is nearly invisible. And the description of the wall of force spell itself says it's invisible. So here it's nearly invisible, so you can definitely see a shimmer or whatever that there is a wall of force there. The other thing is, when you have an item like Robe of Eyes that lets you see invisible things, can you see through a wall of force? You are seeing the wall. Does the wall then become opaque because you're seeing it, or can you see through it? We have ruled that it becomes kind of shimmery and wavy. You can see that there's a wall of force there with any ability to see invisible, but that you can see through it to what's beyond. I don't want to get too ticky-tack with some of this stuff, but it was a conversation that we had to have at our table. So that's really about it. Remember, a wand can have up to 100 charges. I have a character that does have this, my thief. I haven't played him in years, but when I do play him, I'm always sure that I only have about 85 charges or so. I've spent the money on a legend lore to get the number of charges, and I keep a track of it, a very careful track. That way, if I come up against a wall of force that I didn't put up, I can still absorb it and drop it. So that's it for today on page 121. Just a little fun with Wand of Force. I hope you like this. It's one of my favorite magic items out of Unearthed Arcana. I've given out a few of these, but I'm cautious with them. They're very powerful. So that's it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Let's get some subscriptions going. And remember the Patreon. And that's it for today. And I'll see you next time on page 121.